happy Tuesday to all across the Delaware Valley. This is the Anthony Gargano Show presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook app. All right. It all happens tonight. Will it be requiem for the Sixers? Will it be a just carcass performance at Madison Square Garden tonight? Will they come out and you'll pack them in ice until the off season when we'll figure out what the roster looks like? Do they have the heart or the stones to go into Madison Square Garden where they have looked completely spooked, where they gave away 2 games and gifted game 2? Can they overcome a raucous New York crowd, a crowd that traveled and took over the Wells Fargo Center on Sunday, a crowd that's looking to party? Oh, they're feeling it all over Manhattan. I've been deluged by former coworkers and friends up there about how the Knicks will finish off the Sixers tonight and how Big Brother stomps the bleep out of Little Brother. That's what I've been told. Now, first of all, let's start from the beginning. I'm an idiot, okay? Because I expected this series to be different. I truly did. Going into it, when I think back to how I looked at this series, now, yeah, I am a flaming homer, right? Like, I get it. I do. I love it. So I make no apologies for it. But when I look and try to suss out games or series, I look at it from purely a sports angle. I love sports too much to let that stuff interfere, right? Like, yeah, I want the Sixers to win, but I thought the Sixers would win this series because I thought that they were the better team. The Knicks, without Julius Randle, I thought would struggle to score. And if you just do the math of Maxey and Embiid versus Brunson, I mean, I think you come away. Now, again, I gave all respect to Brunson and to Hart and DiVincenzo and Miles McBride and some of their role players. But I thought the Sixers role players would step up. I thought that they would finish off the Knicks. I thought it would be a longer series. You know, I thought the Sixers would win in 6 games. But I thought ultimately that they would be just a little too good. Now, I didn't think the Sixers would go into Boston, but you know what? Milwaukee, Indiana, hey, if the Sixers are rolling and you get Embiid playing really good basketball, I thought that they could make a prolonged run and even get out of the second round for the first time in God knows how many years, including the previous 6 right here post-process. But, of course, I didn't see Buddy Hield completely shutting down in the fetal position on the bench. I probably should have saw Tobias the Friendly Ghost, but I thought that Kelly Oubre would be enough to help complement Embiid and Maxey. And I thought, again, that Hield would play a bit of a role and that all the role players with Batum defending and giving you some boards, help on the boards and that sort of thing, playing good defense. I thought all that together cumulatively would mean the Sixers would beat the Knicks. But what we saw is really an ultimate Philadelphia sin. We've seen a team get out-hearted. That's Hearted. They've been out-hearted, out-hustled, outworked, out-rebounded, out-defended. Like, every bit of the hustle has been on the New York side. So I guess I should not be surprised when I walk in here this morning to the PHLY studios right here off of 10th and Spring Garden that I say, hey, you guys ready? Can they show some stones Can they show some moxie? Can they show some heart and pride and win tonight? Stave off the party. Get another home game, another chance for Sixer fans to defend the home floor. And the answer? No. No. There was VG, our man Violations Greg. He goes, no, they lose. Right? Like, matter of fact, the whole thing, like, he didn't even entertain the idea that they would show up with any moxie. Of course, Andrew, our producer, no, I'm done. They're done. Blow it up. And then even JP, one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever met, was like, cuz I don't think this is it, right? So I walk in, it's 0 for 3. And I'm the lone idiot that thinks, well, don't they have to show up tonight? Like, isn't this a measuring stick for pride? Isn't that what this game is? Truly a measuring stick for pride? Like, don't you got to go in there angry? And don't you got to go in there and say, you know what? Bleep y'all, bleep Manhattan and the Bronx and Staten Island too, right? Don't you have to do that? Don't you have to say, like, this is it? And I'm curious to see how they're going to show up. Now, if we remember, and this is where I'm an idiot, last year, they had a chance to win Game 6 against the Celtics. And they choked it away. I mean, quite frankly, it was a choke job. And it was. They just frittered that away, that opportunity. They had the game won. Boston was a little bit, they were cold, a little bit infighting type of thing. Like they were ready, not like, because they weren't ready to win. Well, they lose. And then they go to Game 7 in Boston, and they get embarrassed, and they quit. Right? Like we saw James Harden quit. We saw Embiid quit. They were done. Game 7, they were done. Now, we saw the same thing 2 years ago in Miami. Harden's first year. Let's remember that series. They lose the first 2 games in Miami. They come back home and win the next 2 at home. Embiid's got the mask. You remember the whole thing. Well, Game 3, they lose. And then Game 4, they lose. It's just a whimper. It was a whimper. And they quit in that game. I remember Maxey was the only one playing at the end of that game where he was just the only one giving any kind of effort in that game. So here they are facing the same thing, down 3-1. And who shows up? With how much pride are you going to show up? Do they have any? I mean, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm glued to what's on their faces. I'm glued. Now, I don't know. It could be that Joel Embiid is like Julius Erving, a great player that just doesn't know how to win. And that's the truth. Like, if you go back in the days of the Doc couldn't win. He was in the finals in 77. They were in the playoffs, 78, 79. He's in the finals in 80. They choke a lead away in 81. They're in the finals in 82. They can't win. They lose. Portland, the Lakers twice. Boston in the one series. And it takes Moses Malone to come in and show them how to win. And maybe Embiid is in need of his Moses, right? His spirit player. Maybe you need to bring in someone as you're filling out this roster in the summer to show them how to win, for God's sakes. Because quite frankly, that's what we saw. We've seen a team not know how to win, not know how to finish games, not know how to keep composure, not know how to run an offense in the last 5 minutes of the game. That's what we've seen. So This is what's at stake tonight. That's popping off, brought to you by ALLCITY, the world's first incredibly tasting soda that's good for you. It's amazing for you. ALLCITY. Get yours at Wawa. Good morning, JP.
Buenos dias, cuz. Happy game 5.
I see it, and you're like thrilled. You can't wait.
I woke up this morning. I was like, you know what? This is probably the last time I wear Sixers gear. I put it on nice and slowly, look in the mirror as I'm like, drip, a couple tears coming down my face.
Yeah, you got the tear emoji going.
I got the PHLY gear. That's right. Make sure you guys check out the locker.
VG's got the devil emoji going.
That's all we're all feeling. We're all pretty somber here. It feels like we're already eliminated.
It's completely somber.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's in moat mode. Everybody's in Embiid mode. This is what's going on. Somebody's got to do something. Wake up.
Well, that's a key question.
Wake up, Joel.
Well, I would even say Joel, because, listen, Joel and Tyrese have given us a lot this year.
I say Joel because he's got to will the rest of them. You go as your star goes.
That's a good point.
And he's got to come in. Listen, I'm not a big, win one for the Gipper kind of person. I don't believe that pregame speeches matter. I really don't. I used to believe that stuff, and then I watched Andy Reid, and I saw what he says before the game. Now, the night before on Saturday night, they usually give you a little bit of a fire speech.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Andy just going, yo, protect the ball, man. Come on, man. We know what to do. Protect the ball. Let's go. And basically, I sat there as he gave a pregame speech, and it was not some emotional made, a movie script, right, where it's Denzel, right? Or we're going to blitz all night. There's nothing happen like that.
It's not Billy Bob Thornton in Friday Night Lights.
No. That doesn't exist.
I get that.
The only person that would do that was Ray Rhodes, and those speeches were legendary, but they didn't mean anything, right? They weren't any good. So when I think about pregame speeches, I go, and I look at, there it is, Hoosiers, and, there's Coach Norman Dale, right? Giving the talk. I actually think Joel Embiid needs to go dig in his guys' rear ends and tell them, look, man, this is about pride. This isn't about, hey, let's get a jump start on our vacations. Right? This is going to show you a lot. Because if you want to be great, the elite of the league, tonight's the stage. If you get smacked around and you lose and you get embarrassed, that could cement them for the rest of his career.
Because it's a really good point you bring up. Because all these years we've heard players on the Sixers, give props to Joel Embiid and all his talent, even going through some injuries, showing that toughness as well. But you've never seen Joel Embiid kind of rise the play of everyone else. You see, I told you yesterday, I love that Anthony Edwards out of Minnesota. And you see what he's doing for the rest of that team. He's balling, and the rest of the guys are following suit.
And he's talking junk to KD.
It's fucking awesome. Man.
And he's unbelievable, right? He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
Listen, there's nothing worse than a Philadelphia team that goes and just gets pantsed.
Yeah.
Right? And they've gotten pants before. And if you keep getting pantsed, sooner or later, you got no pants. That's the truth.
No, you're
and then you can't expect them. You're just bare.
Yeah.
And it means something going forward.
Yeah.
You have to show. Do I think they're going to win this series? Obviously not. They're down 3-1.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling you that. But I think tonight's an important night, a statement night. You can't lose tonight. You have to go up there, and you can't sit there and watch them party all night. The crowd's going to want to party. They're going to be loud. They're going to be festive. They're going to be bleeping and beat all night long. And you got to stick it in their gigi.
Yeah. Because screw the playoffs. We all get that. over 80% of this roster tonight is fighting for their job next year on this team.
Yes.
So listen, we understand we're in a 3-1 situation. That is not ideal. But if you want to be a part of this team next year, if you want to play with Maxey and Embiid, you got to come out here tonight and show us something. And it's really simple. Like Kyle Neubeck said yesterday, it was a great interview. Like Joel and Tyrese, I as well fully expect to show up here tonight. But are we going to get something out of Oubre? Are we going to have Tobias Harris actually play like a dog?
Well, that's your silver lining, right?
Yeah.
The silver lining is it's the last time. If they lose, the last time you have to see him. In fact, I know there's a lot of sentiment that says just get it over with. Like Andrew, our producer, is just get it over with. Just lose. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But that's his mindset. But I don't want that because I think that is a stink that may never go away.
No, 100% right.
And you're already fighting that stink.
Absolutely.
You're already, it's like the car in Seinfeld. Like I still smell it, right? You got to make sure you get rid of that stink. All right, we got lots to do today.
We all silly like the mayor.